Hey, surprise, we're back here on Signing Day Live. We weren't really planning on it, but Penn State has gotten 5 signatures in. We wanted to break those down really quickly. Bob and I are going to be back here around 9:20 to look ahead to Micah Parsons, the 5-star from Harrisburg. He's announcing at the Whitaker Center in Harrisburg, so we're going to be back with that. But we wanted to get the ball rolling a little bit with signatures that are coming in. 5 so far. 2 others have announced it themselves. Penn State has not confirmed that yet. So we wanted to touch on those. The first one in, Bob, was Nick Tarburton. He's a 4-star linebacker from Penn Ridge High School here in Pennsylvania. A unique player because he is 6'4"-ish, 240, 245. And there are questions whether is he a linebacker, is he not a linebacker, is he going to be another one of James Franklin's experiments at linebacker, is he going to be a defensive end, he's going to grow out of that. So there's some questions. He's a really good player, physical player, big kid. I don't know what the future holds for him exactly.
No one loves hybrids, conversions more than James Franklin and their defensive staff. It's almost like they want big, fast athletes. They want to see them up close, and then they'll make a decision on them in a year or two depending on how their body fills out. But, yeah, Tarburton does seem to be a little bit tall to play the linebacker position. Typically, you're talking about kids in the 5'11 to 6'2 range. Big kid, very talented kid, and talk about a position in need, Dustin. They need linebackers. They have some kids coming off red shirts that they really like. But when you lose Jason Gabinda, and when you're not sure, you lose Brandon Smith, and you're not really sure where Manny Bowen fits in 2018. He's not going to play in the Fiesta Bowl. That's his 4th game. He's going to be suspended for a violation of team rules, and the second separate time that he's been suspended. Linebacker and safety, to me, jump out as needs for the Penn State program. It's great to see them get a guy like Tarburton. Now they just got to figure out where they want to play him.
We're going to have photos and a story from Nick's announcement, his official signing ceremony at Penn Ridge a little bit later today. You can join us at PennLive.com/Penn State Football. Penn State Football on PennLive. That's our Facebook account. We're going to have all kinds of stuff. It's not just me and Bob. I know you tune in for me and Bob.
Mostly.
But we're going to have coverage of all these signing day announcements, starting with Nick Tarburton. I think the linebacker spot is interesting because hybrids are great, but they require a little bit more transition and development time. I think Penn State has not gotten quite enough true blue linebacker prospects. Ellis Brooks was late in the 2017 class. He's a guy to really watch as maybe a successor to Jason Gabinda and Brandon Smith. He will be a redshirt freshman. It's not that common to have your guy in the middle be a first-year player, a second-year player like that. So we'll see. Jesse Luketa is a linebacker in this class who more fits that ready-to-rock-and-roll mode.
I wonder if Dustin, if there's someone out there from the middle of Pennsylvania who's a 5-star blue chip who might also be able to help them at linebacker. I'm just saying, maybe we'll find out a little bit later today if their linebacker class just got shored up tremendously. I think his name's Micah Parsons. If Micah Parsons would come to Penn State, I think it's fascinating to project, and we're going to have it covered from all angles at the Whitaker Center. It's fascinating to project what Penn State might choose to do with one of the most remarkable physical talents, I think, on the high school scene in the last 10 or 20 years.
He's expected to announce around 9:45. We're going to be here at 9:20 to talk all about Micah, but really the sky's the limit because you saw him everywhere. Running back, wide receiver at these camp circuits. He was playing cornerback, defensive end, linebacker. So you can do whatever you want with him. I think
he's also a candidate for the Lion position, I think, just based on athleticism, but maybe not as good as Tommy Stevens because I'm a big fan.
Nobody's as good as Tommy
I think we've established my allegiance to Tommy Stevens.
The second signature in Justin Shorter, 5-star wide receiver from New Jersey. I don't think anybody was nervous that this was going to come, but it's always good to see your 5-star on the board, official, this early in the morning. 6'4", 215. He's going to have a signing ceremony on Thursday in New Jersey. We are going to be there. PennLive.com. We'll be there for that and bringing you that coverage live as well. But really good player, Bob. I think people should be really excited about him because he is a more classically trained wide receiver than some of these other big kids that Penn State has brought in before.
Yeah, and he certainly fits the mold of what Penn State's trying to do with its receivers from the Garden State, New Jersey. You just look, and they're almost within a half an inch and about 5 pounds of each other when they come out of high school. Saeed Blacknall, Irv Charles, Juwan Johnson. This kid might be the best of all of them. He's certainly viewed that way by recruiting experts, size, speed, contested catch, can get deep. And they really, Juwan Johnson had a really good redshirt sophomore year this year. I thought his last 3 games were very good. But, the true number one has really not been established at Penn State since Chris Godwin left. It could be Juwan Johnson, but in a year or two, it could be the shorter kid.
Shorter, a couple things I mentioned in the earlier show. He has shown this ability with these long strides to get deep. He runs a really quick, good 40 time, but he uses functional speed on the field is one of his attributes. And the thing I think he does really well, and Juwan Johnson does it too, is being a hands catcher at this stage of your career allows you more opportunities to run after the catch. And the one thing that he does is he makes catches without slowing his body down, without letting it get into his body. And the speed that he has, he is able to use it. So he's an interesting player who can make an impact all over the whole route tree.
I like him because, at the highest college level, it's not it's not high school anymore. He's just not going to run by guys and be open by 8 yards. I mean, as good as he is, more often than not, he's going to have to make contested catches, especially in the red zone when the field gets shorter. He's going to be getting covered by 4- and 5-star corners, guys that are lanky, guys who can run with him. So, yeah, it's what you do when the ball's in the air more so than anything. I mean, there's not going to be too many walk-in touchdowns, I think, for Shorter, just because of the competition in the Big Ten East and when they go outside of the Big Ten East. But, yeah, he looks like a guy. They're not all going to necessarily be slam dunks, Dustin. They're still waiting on Irv Charles, as are most of us, to kind of Saeed Blacknall was a guy that showed so much promise against Wisconsin in the Big Ten in the Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin, but he never really put it together his final year. This could be a guy, though, that is the most complete kid coming to Penn State. And
from everything that it looks, attitude, approach, work ethic, it all seems to be good things for Shorter. The third signature, Aeneas Hawkins, overlooked a little bit, a 4-star defensive tackle. I think he's 6'3", about 265. I think there's some projection required, so you're not looking at a guy who's going to step onto the field immediately, but I think the family bloodline's there, and I think the athletic family thing is an interesting thing with all of Penn State's defensive linemen in this class. But Hawkins, I don't think you should overlook him. I know that P.J. Mustipher is there, Judge Culpepper is there, Micah Parsons, if he does commit and if he does play the defensive line, he is going to steal headlines, of course, but Hawkins is there flying under the radar. I really like him as a player, and now he is officially a Nittany Lion.
Yeah, I think the Penn State coaching staff's excited about a kid coming off the redshirt, Fred Hansard. They're excited about him. They're losing their starting defensive tackles, the Cothrans, Parker and Curtis, not related. They feel good about Robert Windsor on the nose. They like Kevin Givens as a 3 technique. They got some other players I think that they're excited about. But you just can't have enough good defensive linemen, especially tackles, who can impact the game. And they feel good about this guy. There's more coming. But, yeah, defensive tackles who can collapse the pocket, who can, rush the passer, stop the run. You look at who's in the National College Playoff, and they have them. They have a ton of 4- and 5-stars, and Penn State needs to get there if they want to be in the running for the Big Ten title, and they want to be in the running for National College Playoff. This is a position where you can't have enough good athletic bodies inside.
And they're building. Penn State's still building there. Hawkins is another good addition. Daniel George, 4-star wide receiver from Maryland. Again, with Shorter in the mix, you don't talk as much about Daniel George, but when he was going through the whole opening tryout thing, that circuit over the summer, he tested very, very well in the overall SPARK score with the power, speed, vertical. He's got some really nice athletic attributes, and he's a good addition as well. Shaquan Anderson-Butts, we'll find out a little bit later today if he signs, he doesn't sign. Similar player, I think, similar body, all that stuff to Daniel George. But George is a really good player, 4-star from Maryland. Pat Freiermuth, the tight end from Massachusetts, also in. Interesting player here because, again, not a common position to see the field early, especially at Penn State where James Franklin treats him basically as an extension of the offensive line in terms of he is expecting these guys to contribute as redshirt sophomores and probably not before that. Tight ends, pretty much the same thing. But you can't help but look at Mike Gesicki, how important he was and how little we know about the other guys, and say maybe Freiermuth has a shot.
Yeah, and just moving forward, Mike Gesicki, breakout player in 2016, another great year in 2017. But I think you know what you're going to get with Mike Gesicki. He's going to be a player that is essentially a big wide receiver, and that's probably the role that he's going to have in the NFL. Penn State needs a tight end that could really help in the running game as a blocker. They're also going to have Zach Kuntz come in. He looks like he's more of the receiving, offensive-minded tight end. But when you look at the Penn State depth chart, even with Gesicki moving on, they feel good about Nick Bowers, but he hasn't been on the field enough. They need a thumper. When it's one of the reasons why they struggle in short yardage or when it's 3rd and 1, instead of going under center into no football, they need some tight ends, Dustin, that can move, push the pile, win the one-on-one block, clear some space for these talented runners that James Franklin's amassing. And this is a guy that possibly could be one of those guys sooner rather than later.
Since we started, Ricky Slade, the 5-star running back from Virginia, now official as well. His signatures come in. So both the Penn State's 5-stars are in the first hour and 15 minutes of signing day. Again, I don't think there was going to be any surprises, but it's nice, it's reassuring that both of these guys are in. Ricky Slade, again, super talented, versatile, catch, run, shifty, all that stuff. He is a really nice addition. Again, the depth chart can use his presence.
Yeah, Dustin, and I think the only thing better than 2 5-stars would be 3 5-stars, and we'll know about Micah Parsons soon enough with his announcement. Penn State's on the short list for Micah Parsons. But as this class continues to sign, the players continue to sign, and you take the look at what James Franklin is doing with this class, having covered Penn State for a while, and we'll talk about this a little bit later today as well, this class is starting to remind me more and more of the one class that I put at the top, and that's the 2006 class that Penn State was able to assemble. Great talent from the Maryland, Virginia, D.C., Pennsylvania area, guys that moved on to play in the NFL. As this class continues to sign their letters of intent, it's starting to remind me quite a bit from the Story 2006 class, and that's a heck of a class, but this class is starting to remind me of it, Dustin.
Give me a few of the names from that class. That's a refresher.
Yeah, Navarro Bowman, Aaron Maben, who was a first-round pick, Jared Odrick. There are a lot of guys. Evan Royster, who was actually one of the more overlooked players in that class, a 3-star lacrosse player from Virginia, went on to become Penn State's all-time leading rusher. The breadth of that class, they even had some 5-stars that didn't pan out in that class, but that class to me, since I've been covering Penn State football for the last 15, 16 years, is easily Penn State's top talent recruiting class. This class is getting there in a hurry to rival that class.
So 2 other kids, unofficially official, Charlie Katcher, the linebacker from Cumberland Valley, Judge Culpepper, the defensive end, defensive tackle from Florida, have both tweeted that they've signed. Penn State has not announced those yet. We'll be back around 9:20 to look ahead. Micah Parsons is happening around 9:45 a.m. from Harrisburg. We'll be live from there. Bob and I will set that up. We'll get into more signatures and more of the 2018 class then. And you can stick with us all day. PennLive.com. It's hard to miss our signing day live coverage. And Penn State football on PennLive on Facebook. Stay tuned all day there, too.